The other question on this whole piece of it is the role that Microsoft could or could not play in that transaction, and whether we think that the government will ultimately approve it. There's also news that potentially Microsoft may want to try to buy everything. Will the Chinese government approve that? You know, this is not just a technology or business story. It's a geopolitical story to some degree.
Yeah, absolutely. There's so many variables around the talks right now between Microsoft and TikTok. It should be known also that Microsoft's not the only suitor right now that's talking to TikTok. There are at least 3 other companies that have been, or a company or combination of investors that have been in talks with the company to buy it. It's very uncertain as to whether Microsoft or a different suitor would be ultimately approved as well by the U.S. government. President Trump has been sort of all over the map on his thoughts about Microsoft's purchase, as well as people in his administration. So a lot of uncertainty, though Microsoft does look like, according to analysts, as well as some folks within administration, the most palatable suitor.
Well, that's what I was going to ask. Cecilia, just explain this. You know, you mentioned there are 3 other potential suitors. My understanding of the conundrum here is that they need to port all this data over, and they need to be able to do it quickly. And who has the capability to do that? Microsoft clearly could, or would be in a better position. You can't really sell it necessarily to a Google or an Amazon or somebody else, right?
I think it would be really difficult for multiple reasons to sell it to Google or Amazon. And let's not forget that Google, Amazon, Facebook, and Apple were all broadcasting into a hearing last week on questions about their size and their dominance, and Microsoft was not. And Microsoft not only has a capability, but it's not under scrutiny in the same way as other tech companies in terms of their size and their power and potential antitrust violations.
Hey, Emily, it's Scott. Good morning to you. I'm wondering how much you think we should worry about, or American companies like Apple and others who are operating in China should worry about any sort of blowback from the Chinese or retaliation as our tensions get ratcheted up, specifically as it relates to technology. How much those companies should be concerned today?
I'm guessing they're very concerned when they saw that executive order go through last night. There's no doubt about it. When one thing happens to a major company in a sector, the other ones are naturally going to react. You know, they've probably got their different teams on the phone, lawyers on the phone. Apple does a lot of production in China. That even came up in that hearing that Cecilia mentioned, the big tech antitrust hearing. So I'm sure they're all scrambling to figure out how would we defend ourselves. But I don't think there's anything imminent at hand. This is really about a Chinese-owned company that has a massive number of users in the U.S. TikTok says it has about 100 million U.S. users. And the fact that President Trump has continued to kind of wedge himself in between these talks between Microsoft and TikTok, and more broadly spoken out about TikTok as a whole. And let's not forget, this did escalate more when Secretary of State Mike Pompeo said in early July, and even introduced the possibility of an idea that of banning TikTok in the U.S.